The Mariners are in the final stretch for the playoffs, but what's going on with Scott's thoughts? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sogcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Matt.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Nate.
The Mariners are battling for this playoff spot. We need these wins, and Scott's thoughts and his decision-making is driving me crazy.
The Mariners are battling here. Like, every game they play is a battle. Even, like, we battled to sweep the A's. Like, every game was a battle. It wasn't a pushover. Those guys are trying to win games, and Texas is trying to win games just as much as we are. I mean, like, what's the difference here? Like, the analytical decision-making? We'll get into it.
Well, one thing, I will say the Mariners swept soundly the A's. It was a nice win. Obviously it wasn't a rollover and die type of situation, but the Mariners swept the A's handedly. They were in control of all three games. They took those. This Texas series, and the same thing, if we have noticed since the All-Star break, 90% of our losses we're still fighting to the very last out. It is literally not over till it's over. There's been a couple losses here and there sprinkled out that have been losses from like the get-go. They didn't really have a shot at winning. But the majority of these games always come down to the final at-bat. We've seen it in this Texas series that we've lost by a couple runs, but we have had the tying or winning run up at the plate or on base to the very last out. We've had the chances to be this clutch team and come through and win these games. And that kind of convinces me more that we're just one piece away from really having the puzzle fully connect. We're like right there. We're on the cusp. We're battling it out. We're not a give up and quit team, but we're missing that one final piece that really sets this team apart and makes them a shoo-in for the playoffs rather than, well, are they going to make it?
I agree. Especially today, we just felt like we were missing one big hit in a 2-0 shutout. Throughout the entire game, pretty much dating back to like the third or fourth inning, we had the tying run or go-ahead run on base or at bat pretty much the whole game and just could never really get a hit. We moved a guy over from first to second with one out in a couple situations and then just could never like scratch anything across. And that timely hitting right now, these past two games is just not quite been there.
Yeah, to your point, Patrick, like, the Mariners don't get blown out often, right? Like, we have more blowouts than we've been blown out. We have more shutouts than we've been shut out. The Mariners have been a pitching and defense first team.
Quick side note, the Mariners have the most shutouts in baseball this year, which is just another testament to our pitching staff. Most shutouts in all of baseball. That's crazy.
Yeah, we have 16 shutouts, and we've been shut out 7 times. So, that's a nice stat for the Mariners. And the Mariners are a defense and pitching first kind of team, right? And we ride the offense when it's hot, and we hope that they can stay consistent, but that's been a huge issue. In extra innings, Nate, last week, you brought up in extra innings and in close and late games, we have not been the team that we were and believed in last year when we had all the Believe posters. Let's make the playoffs for the first time. I've been thinking, like, whip those Believe posters out again because, like, we need something to turn on here. And I think the last week being at home is a nice advantage for the Mariners. But right now on the road, we're struggling against Texas to get the bats rolling. And I thought we'd come out of that A's series like looking hot. And we'd started clicking, like we're getting the engine warmed up before we go out for a nice ripping day on the highway. Like we had the day off and went into Texas and just cannot get the bats rolling against a guy like Dane Dunning. And, like, I don't know what the deal is.
One thing that is working in our favors is the baseball gods are looking out for the Mariners. The Astros keep losing.
To the Royals, bro.
The Royals have the Astros numbers. The baseball gods are looking out for the Mariners, but they're playing like they're a bunch of atheists. Like, they are having the backup. The support is there. Just, damn, win some games. Win the games that really, really matter. We did say that they needed to sweep Oakland. They did. That was phenomenal.
That put us in a huge, bolstered situation for winning the division even.
And now we're in the nitty-gritty. These are the games that matter the most. The Astros keep dropping games. The Mariners need to gain ground. And again, we're one piece away. We're right there, but they're just not clicking fully.
Yeah, and I think we have some pieces that we don't use in the right situations as well. Like, we never hit lefties against lefties, even though their numbers have been okay. Like, we've seen that kind of backfire where we're still hitting Ty France instead of Mike Ford when we need to boost a homer when there's already runners on base. Like, why not put your best power option in there who actually doesn't hit lefties that badly, like Mike Ford? I know Jared Kelenic especially hits lefties pretty well, but even Mike Ford is not bad against lefties. He has a 328 average. He hasn't hit any bombs, but he has 4 strikeouts, 4 walks. Like, he can still put the ball in play with power, and that's what we need in those situations. And I'm not sure why there's such a hard line that the Mariners drive where their matchups have to be lefty righty, even if Aroldis Chapman doesn't even pitch lefties that well. Like, Aroldis Chapman's fastball against left-handed batters is less effective than it is against right-handed batters, for example. And it's been frustrating to see like what kind of decisions we're making when we have that potential on the bench. Even Dom Canzone has come in and had good at-bats in pinch hit situations and puts a good swing on the ball. Even though he's kind of a skinny guy, like, that dude can produce some power in those situations that we need. We need productive outs and we need to score runs, and we're not putting the right guy in the right spot to do that, even if it is a lefty-lefty matchup. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, Scott is such a stickler for his handedness matchups, and it's so frustrating, dude. Like, yesterday, Jared Kelenic got on base 5 times, and then he didn't even start the game today. That's such a boneheaded decision. Like, he refuses to play the hot hand. He wants the matchup.
But a left-handed pitcher is pitching.
Dude, we got fucking goose egg today. It's so annoying. I hate seeing it.
And that's going off of Scott's thoughts, his decision making. We have harped on this so much, and honestly, we've all been really at our wits' end with Scott's decision making. As you mentioned, Kelenic got on base 5 times the previous game, and then he's not in the starting lineup the next day. There's no such thing as a hot hand with Scott. He does not care how a player is playing at any given time. He just reads off a sheet of paper and is like, well, analytically, this guy has a .27 better chance of getting on base, maybe.
So we're going to start Haggerty
Scott
in left field instead of Kelenic.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I am going to go off real quick. So we are trying to win these games. We need to win these games to get into the playoffs. He had Caballero starting at second, Hags starting in the outfield, and Dylan Moore starting. Is that our playoff roster? If we are in the postseason, is that the starting roster you're going to bring to the field every day? No, it's not. So why is this the lineup you're setting when we need to win these games to make the damn postseason?
To add to that, why do you pinch hit Luis Torrens in the late innings? Like,
where was Mike Ford?
What is this formula that's coming across here? Like, are we that lacking in depth that we can't play our best players on the days that we need to win the most? Like, I'm with you, dude.
And especially today, if Kelenic didn't start, why was he not like immediately coming off the bench the second Texas went to their bullpen? They waited until Texas was on their 3rd reliever of the day, I think, in the 9th inning to face Chapman before they finally put him in.
Right. I don't know if it has to do with his health coming off of his injury and everything like that, but like, Kelenic is hitting against lefties better than he is against righties, at least Yeah, batting average 268 against lefties versus 250 against righties, 476 slug against lefties versus 418 against righties. I mean, he's done really well against lefties all season. Why are we not putting our best bat in the lineup, especially when he is hot? Like you're saying, Garrett, like he was on base all day yesterday. And we're not starting him today?
He has 6 at-bats in this series. Kelenic does. He has gotten on base 6 times. Why do you not have him in your starting lineup? And we've been critical of Kelenic, but we can also see if someone is riding high right now, if they're seeing the ball well, if they're producing, if they're getting on base, get them in the damn lineup.
Haggerty is an obvious downgrade. You know what I
Why
mean?
is he starting? That blew my fucking mind today.
That's ridiculous.
No other playoff team out there right now would Haggerty be an everyday starting left fielder for it. Like, why?
The only reason would be health related, in my opinion. If Kelenic asks for the day off or is like, "Yo, I'm sore, my foot is sore," like, sure, I get it, but like that's the only reason that any team would ever do that. And that player, Kelenic, especially, should be pushing to be in that lineup too. Like being hot like that, like even with a sore foot, like you're back, dude.
No, you're right. Maybe
back,
he
you
did
should
have
be
a
at full
sore
health.
foot from standing on base all goddamn day.
That's true. But like he should be in there, dude. He should be in there trying to hit the ball. And I'm sure he doesn't want to re-injure himself, but if he needs that day off, I get it. But that's the only reason he's not in the lineup today is because he personally asked for it.
I really doubt he asked for a day off.
That's
Yeah,
what
I'm
I'm
gonna
saying.
say, like,
Yeah.
even that is just speculation. I feel like it's got to be just Scott being like, oh, right-handed, left-handed, we got to play these matchups. No, you fucking don't. Not everything has to be matchup related. Scott is going to manage this team out of the playoffs. We are still in it. It's not over till it's over. And this season could very well go down to the final game 162. But Jesus Christ, let's put a cushion in.
Yeah.
Play the right players. I don't know why Rojas is not in the lineup. I don't know why you're starting Cabs. If you have these depth pieces in Dylan Moore and Sam Haggerty for speed and could a potential stolen base threat or, scoring on a wild pitch, use them as pinch runners in the ninth. And
I wondered that today when we had 2 runners on. We're down by 2. We're about to get blanked. And Ty France is running at second base. You can't put anybody else in there.
We've started all of our fast players, so no, like they're all in the lineup already. Like Haggerty, Moore, and Caballero have already been. They're already in. So yeah, we don't have anyone off the bench to come because we have Kelenic and Ford as left-handed matchups on the bench, right? And they're not going to come in to pinch run. They're going to come in to do damage with the bat. So it puts us in such a bad situation. Like you're proving Patrick's point here.
Yeah,
Like,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
This
that all
is
goes.
great.
That all
Like-
goes back to not starting Kelenic in the first place because like Haggerty and Canzone and Moore should be like our guys off the bench for those pinch
Canzone.
running situations.
Canzone can do damage with the bat too. They try to keep those lefty bats on the bench for damage. Yeah.
And
But,
I
like,
want to know what analytic paper Scott was looking at that says, oh, Mike Ford, who's been a proven hitter and has come up in these clutch situations. No, let's keep him on the bench and let's bring up Luis Torrens, who's been on like 7 different teams this year. He can't hold a place on a major league roster. No, yeah, that's who we want to pinch.
That's our
hit.
guy.
That he's going to come through.
I was actually listening to the radio today, and Goldsmith was saying that before the game, when the lineups came out, they asked Scott, why no Kelenic today, even though he hits lefties just fine, actually better than righties, and Scott said that Jordan Montgomery's numbers, a starter today, a lefty, were like vastly better against left-handed hitters than
That's
right-handed
true.
hitters.
He
And
is
I'm like,
good against lefties.
okay, but then Jared also hits lefties well, and obviously no one hit him well today. It didn't matter if you were a righty.
the talent's gonna outweigh Kelenic's talent will outweigh the lefty matchup if he's that good, and I think he is. Like I think Kelenic sees the ball well. He's been having really good at bats, and like
Yeah, but
since
that's
he's been
Scott
back.
coming out and saying, I don't think Kelenic hits lefties as good as Jordan Montgomery pitches to lefties.
Sure, I
That
get
100%.
that.
Which is
Yeah.
bullshit.
It's not trusting
Don't
our
do
best
that.
talent.
And that's-
He's not
not
trusting
tru-
our guy.
And it's not trusting the guy, and it's not trusting a guy that is clearly seeing the ball very, very well right now. Streaks happen. Hot streaks, cold streaks, it's part of the game. But if someone's on a hot streak, you don't bench them. You wait for it to end naturally and maybe give them a day of rest. And I've been as much of a Kellenic critic as anyone, but he's clearly seeing the ball right now. He gets on base 6 times in 6 at-bats, and you're just like, we couldn't find a spot for him.
Well, and that's been one of our criticisms of Kelnick is because he is a streaky player. He'll be hot, then he'll, go cold for half a month to a month. And right now when he's hot, use him while he's hot. He started off the season hot, went through a cold stretch, got a little hot again, got cold, got injured, came back, started cold. He's hot right now the past week and a half, though. So.
Yeah, since he's been back, he's only been making improvements. And I like to see him back on our roster. I just want him to see, him make more impact plays. You know what I mean? I love Jared Kelenic, and I'm glad he's back. And he should be an impact bat on our roster almost every day. But I will say, we keep saying Scott. I just want to kind of overshadow all this with it takes a whole analytics and front office team. It comes from the top down, right?
That's a good point.
The front office and analytics team, I think, do a good job. I don't think all our decisions that are being made in real time are the best decisions, but I do think that they do good research and they know what they're doing statistically. It's not that they're doing a bad job in the analytics department. It's just that how well can we get the numbers we need into the clubhouse and relay to the players through the coaching staff what we need them to do in certain situations. And that's where, I've been saying it all season. I'll say it again, our naivete, we're naive. We don't know yet. We're still trying to shake those things out with our core players and figure out who's our core players for the next, when the window's wide open. So we're trying to figure out what to do, and things are still kind of in flux for the Mariners. I don't think the message is getting sent down to the players exactly the right way or being taken the right way. And the team chemistry is still building as a core, and we're seeing the breakout Mariners having their issues, you know what I mean? Where we're still trying to shake all these little things out, and especially getting down to the end of the season where every game is the most important game of the season right now. It's kind of showing that we're anxious and nervous, and the decision making is tenuous and not great right now. We're just trying to go with the direct analytical matchup rather than making those subjective calls to play the right player at the right time. And we've seen hints of this all season, but we've seen it go well too. I just thought that the A's series was a really good chance for us to get those things settled so we can go into this last bit with Texas and Houston ready to go and knowing our roles. But it's obviously still not that way.
Piggybacking off of what you said, though, about the analytics department and stuff making these suggestions to Scott and stuff. And I get that, and that is true. But still, I feel like at the end of the day, it's Scott's team, right? He's the manager.
He's the one making the call.
He could take those analytics and say, okay, I see how this looks on paper, but Kelenic is clearly seeing the ball right now. Caballero clearly isn't getting it done. Let's start Kelenic and not start Cabs.
Let's start Rojas, even though a left-handed pitcher is pitching, and give him a shot.
And it's just he's not giving these players a chance to compete and prove themselves. Mike Ford has proven that he's a hitter. Get him more at-bats. Kelenic is streaky, but if he's seeing the ball, let him play. I'm baffled at these decisions, and I can take some solace in knowing that it's not over. We're not out of the woods. Every game still matters. You're not eliminated until that final out in the elimination game. So there's still our chances. One thing I think that is missing this year, even with the Mariners having a better pitching staff, I think our offense all around is better this year. But one thing the Mariners really strived in last year that really gave this team an identity was chaos ball. Winning in weird ways, fighting to the very end, these immaculate comebacks or crazy just situations and coming out and win. And I do not feel that the 2023 Seattle Mariners have that chaos ball in them anymore. They're lacking an identity.
Yep. We're sitting here in our studio with the Embrace the Chaos poster on the wall. We all remember how chaotic it got, and anything could happen at any time. We all had the Believe posters. Everyone was holding the Believe posters for the first time in 20 years. Let's get to the playoffs. Whip those posters back out, dude. Let's embrace the chaos right now. The energy doesn't feel that way like it did last year, and we feel a bit flat. The Mariners feel a bit flat right now. And it sucks to come into this podcast after 2 tough losses to the Rangers at their ballpark. But we're going to see them for 4 games to end the season, too. Houston's kind of on a slide, which has been a godsend.
Thank you, Kansas City.
Thank you, Kansas City.
Kansas City can ball out when they're right. And, when their pitching staff is right, they can put a good team in the dirt. We saw the Mariners play a tough series against them earlier this season. And, man,
But I 100% agree with you. We need to embrace the chaos. We're being so robotic out there, playing everything by the book, the way that numbers say that you should play the game. But
be romantic. Let's
chaos
go.
ball all day.
Yeah, and that was cool. That was made the Mariners fun to watch. And that's a great word, robotic. It seems very robotic, formulaic of just...
Yeah.
The Mariners don't have that identity of... And they are still battling, but last year with Chaos Ball, they would battle and they would find some crazy way to win. The Mariners have had their chances to win, but the chaos is just gone.
I'll compare a team like the Dodgers who just swept us. They do things by the book and analytically correct a lot too, but they've balance it well. They know
It's
how
very
to switch their
fine-tuned
players
over
out.
there, and it shows in their play.
But you
can
have
see
to
it.
build a team that's consistent before you can do that. And I think the
right.
Mariners are using that style, analytics, and trying to apply it to a team that's not at the level and depth that needs that kind of strategy. Our strategy should still be play the hottest players you've got because you don't have the full depth to win a game with your bench players. You know what I mean?
Right. We're not seeing them, swap out their second baseman in the 4th inning.
Yeah.
We're
using a
roll with the
strategy.
punches. Yeah.
And that's another thing
for
that
a
bothers
good
me.
Of a team that's built, and our
Right.
team's not quite there yet.
Another thing I have an issue with is the lack of a consistent lineup. We're still rotating dudes in and out like it's June. We should have our staple, our starters, and you're switching out Rojas and Cabs at will. Our outfield, left field can be random as who we're starting. Is it Canzone? Is it Kellenic?
Demo's going to
Is
play
it
left
Demo?
today.
Is it Haggerty? Why do we not have a consistent everyday lineup? I understand sometimes changes need to be made, but the fact that it's kind of a roll of the dice that we have 3 players who may or may not be starting on any given day.
That is kind of weird, and that is kind of unique to our team. Every other pretty much playoff team or playoff contender, I feel like their fans are you know who's going to be starting where every day in and day out. Maybe swap out a couple days here or there, but it is weird that our left field has been a revolving door really all season. Right field a little bit too after we got Canzone. Teoscar started DHing more, and we were throwing him out there in right field,
Which is reasonable.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, but
it's still okay, so even let's just say we rotate Teo at right field or DH. That's just one move, and he's still in the lineup. That's still an everyday lineup. But we're having... I am at an utter loss for words that we think that having Haggerty and Moore in the starting lineup is playoff caliber. Because it's not.
Caballero.
It's weird that we have a left-handed and right-handed lineup that's there's so many moving parts, right? Teams that use platoons usually only have 2 positions that they platoon, a second baseman and a right fielder or a left fielder. And we have 4 platoons right now. We could even use Mike Ford and Ty France too, but Mike Ford they would rather have Ty France's defense at first than Mike Ford in the lineup against righties, and they don't give him the run. Like, it's tough. I mean, having 4 positions like left field, right field, second base, and I guess that's about it. But like that's our platoon situation.
Sometimes
we really
first
need
base.
we need a couple bats off the bench. We need some speed off the bench, but we have too much like utility speed off the bench. And Caballero has just been filling that spot that he proved that he deserves. But at this point, like, I'm sad we don't have that extra punch. Like Patrick was saying, we're missing like one piece. And Caballero proved his spot this year and is still here. Haggerty, Moore had injuries early in the season and has come back and is trying to make it back. Haggerty's just there, like, there's no extra punch. We need one more extra offensive punch, especially if we have so much utility defensively and base running wise.
You've said that all season long,
Yeah.
even going into the trade deadline. We need a bat.
Like a legit one.
Yeah.
One that bops doubles and homers. Someone with slug. And we haven't had that. We've just kind of shored up a few things. Canzone takes good at bats, but he hasn't proven his worth. You know, we can't. I don't know. Mike Ford is a better pinch hit than Dom Canzone, but Canzone he DH'd in the 8-hole the other day, and yeah, it's frustrating, Patrick. Like all of these rotating pieces in our lineup at this point. Like, we're in the last week of the season, and we still have rotating pieces in our lineup. We don't have a legit, like, top 6 lineup that's there every day. Like, even lefty, righty, doesn't matter who's pitching. And, dude, we don't have the depth we need, especially with Tom Murphy going down for the season hurt us a lot, in my opinion. That's, like, an underrated big loss for the Mariners.
So what do we do? I mean, what do we do? We're in the nitty gritty. Scott has not been listening to us because he's still making these blasphemous decisions against the baseball gods who are trying so hard to help us out. The
They're shining
Royals,
their light on us, and we are just reflecting it away.
yeah, the Royals have the Astros number. They have a potential to sweep Houston tomorrow. But all that means is that now Texas is in first place. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We knew it was going to be like this. We knew it was going to come down. We've been telling you guys, our fans, that this is what's going to happen. It's going to come down to this final week, these final games. Every game matters. This is our potential playoffs. But damn, like... Can we win some games? Can we win when it matters, please?
So I saw Sarah Lang's tweet, and she tweeted something like, it's the first time in a long time that 3 teams are in the race for a division title like this. First time since like the 60s or something like this. Like, this is going to come down to the last game. It's going to be insane. The Mariners really need to turn it on here. The problem with Texas being in first is that we don't hold the tiebreak over them. We hold the tiebreak over Houston and the Blue Jays. So best case scenario, we take the division over Texas because we beat the shit out of them for the rest of this series and our 4-game series coming up, and we beat Houston. We take the division. Worst case scenario, we tie Houston for the 3rd wild card spot and beat them in tiebreaker.
Okay, you pretty much answered the question I was going to ask Patrick. And I kind of knew what the answer was going to be anyway, but my question would be, what do you want? Do you want to take the division? I mean, obviously you want that, but is that what we're going for right now? Are we going for the division, or are we trying to get this wild card
Always
spot?
going for the division.
And, yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely not out of reach at all, especially because, I mean, the positive or the negative is our own fate is really in our own hands this year. It's not quite the same as last year where, you know, we could get a little help from other teams losing and we kept winning and we clinched that wild card spot. But I mean, this year, all we have to do is beat Texas tomorrow, win the series at the end of the year, beat Houston in the series in the middle of next week. And like, we have the division. That's all it takes. It would have been nice to win.
All we have to do is beat our 2 division rivals who are within a game of us.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
I've been saying this in the group chat too. Like, we just have to beat these teams. It's like they're the hardest teams to beat.
Yeah.
With the most pressure. It's like, yeah, I get that I'm saying it in a way that's like, we just have to do this.
All you
But
gotta do.
We don't have to scoreboard watch and hope for other teams to lose, because the teams we need to lose are the teams that we're playing against. We can
Yes.
control
That's
that.
a
Let's
really
just
good
let's
point.
just fucking beat these teams.
we are in control of it. We need to take life by the horns here and really shove it here. Like losing these 2 games against Texas sucks.
Dude, I've been so
Because-
frustrated. I've even been saying, like, is someone going to step in and tell these guys that the playoffs are on the line right now?
Yeah.
Because they're playing like it's July. Like,
Is it May right
is
now?
it May out here? What are we doing? We're just playing every day,
Just
show
rolling
up,
the dice.
show up and play baseball. Like, can you get out there and win a fucking game for us, please?
Remember when you were hot for 2 months straight?
Do
Yeah,
that.
do
Do
that
that.
for 1 week, please. Like,
Can't
at
be
least
that
get
hard.
in.
I just want the chaos back. Honestly, give us
I agree. That's the answer here.
yeah.
It
Just
can't be
bring
that
back
hard.
the chaos ball. Bring back, and again, it's not really something you can do.
You can do
It's
something,
something that
to
happens.
dismantle this annoying, boring, robotic, linear structure that we have going on.
Chaos happens, but you can help it happen.
Yeah, you can
Yes.
sprinkle in a little zazz.
Yeah, give it that pizzazz.
And is that what Scott's doing with? I mean, Jesus Christ! The last 2 weeks, it feels like every time after the 7th inning, it's been a revolving door of pinch hitters. Have you noticed that? They're just like, oh, and it doesn't even matter how the player that's being pinch hit for has performed that day. He's just like, he wants this magic of the pinch hit home run. And, that's cool when it happens, but
the
it's
sad part is we're not putting the guy in to hit the home run like Mike Ford. We're pinch hitting goddamn Luis Torrens. Like, at least put in can zone. Who cares if it's a lefty? Like I was saying, Mike Ford can't hit a home run off a Aroldis Chapman fastball. Absolutely, he can. Like, we're going in a circle now, but at
But
the
you
same
also didn't need a home run. You needed a base hit.
well,
a
with,
base hit.
with runners on base, like we could have taken all 3
Okay,
at
home
once.
run's
You know what I
nice.
mean?
But, I mean,
it depends
just
on the
something in the
situation.
gap.
You're
Yeah,
right.
something. Just
Yeah.
hit the fucking ball.
So on Saturday or Friday, Mike Ford could have come in to hit just a base hit, and I think the dude knows the situation well enough. Come in and get a single up the middle like he does so well. And on Saturday, he would know that, yeah, it's time to go deep because we need all 3 runs at once. You know what I mean? The dude has situational awareness. We need to be able to hit a lefty against a lefty and have confidence in that. And that is the biggest problem that we've been talking about this whole episode. Like, hit a damn lefty against a lefty. Give the kid a chance.
Last week we talked about how Mike Ford came out and said, like, I know I'm a good hitter. Give me the shot. I'll show it.
yeah.
How much merit is there to, and I'm not saying Scott's doing this, but is there anything to this at all that you don't pinch hit him in the hopes that he gets amped and is like, I want it more? Is that anything, or is that stupid? Just put the guy in the game and let him play the game that he's there to play.
I want that guy in there. If he's acting that way and saying he wants it, let him have it.
I'm saying that's
And
what,
let him eat.
Yeah.
There are certain players.
I'm just wondering, what is the benefit to letting a guy stew and being like, I want to get in there? Like, I don't think that's helping things.
Maybe in like May that's cool and that works and gets him fired up. But we have literally 8 baseball games left to play. Like, how long are you gonna sit him on the bench and stew that more? Like, put
Yeah,
him in
give
the
him
damn
a
game.
shot.
Let
And
him
when he
prove
does get his shot, he has come through more often than he hasn't.
Let him play a whole game at first base. Honestly, Ty is pretty abysmal right now. If you want to talk about riding hot and cold players,
But
Mike Ford is serviceable at first base. I'm going to give him credit
if
there.
you can catch a ball, like, play first, bro.
As good as Ty France is at first, give Mike Ford some days out there and give him the game time reps. Like, they
Yes.
need it. Because when we put him out there in the playoffs and we're like, yeah, we need the lefty bat in there, the extra lefty bat, let's put Mike Ford at first, and he hasn't gotten the game time reps all fucking season, and he makes an error, whose fault is that? Is
True.
it Mike's? Nah. Dude, they didn't give him the game
Damn
time
it,
reps
Mike.
that he needs.
also the way first base is, I mean, it's valued. Defensive first basemen are valued pretty low. It doesn't make that much of a huge impact on a game as, say, a shortstop and center fielder does, which thankfully we have great defensive and offensive players at that point.
Yes,
at
sir.
first base, you need a lot of offensive production. You can have a middle of the road, middle to hell, give me the worst first baseman in the league. If he hits
Jose
40
Abreu?
bombs,
Yeah.
if he hits 45 bombs a year and comes up with 100 RBIs, like I'll take that over. Okay, Ty France hits 200, but he plays a great defensive first base, guys. Like, who the hell cares if he can't score more than 0 runs?
With
I
the
think Ty France is batting like 230 on the season or
With
something.
the,
Yeah, it's
with the
atrocious.
slugging under 500, like no first baseman should have a slugging like that low. You know, every first baseman should be that slow bopper guy that like stands on first and catches balls from the infielders. I will say Ty France has built a great rapport with his infielders, and he has a great fielding percentage. He'll pick any ball from Gino and JP because they've built that together. But also, like, first base is a spot where you need that offensive production, and Ty France is lacking so hard. We all thought at the beginning of this season, I went back and listened to our, like, predictions episode. We all thought Ty France would continue producing and, like, taking a step up. And like I said last week, I don't know what it is with Ty France. If he doesn't put in the extra work, he's kind of like a golden retriever type player where he's just there every day. He doesn't bring the extra fire. I don't know if he goes out and takes the extra work. I don't see it, so I can't say. I'm just speculating. But like,
Yeah, I never want to
Maybe
accuse
he's
a guy of
capped
not
out.
putting in the work, but I
True.
do kind of agree with what you're
has he
saying. where
capped
he's,
out in talent?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
think-
he
no,
went to that chiropractor, guys. The chiropractor cracked his neck, and all of a sudden he was going to bat 350, and he's hitting exactly the same.
I just don't know if, like, I think he needs to put the ball in the pitcher's court again. Like I said last week, I don't think he's taken the next step forward to be the guy that we expected Ty France to keep, like, progressing into. I think he capped out a little early for our expectations, and now we're worried about what we should do with him. We have him through 26. He's in his arbitration years where either we sign him up, but at least the Mariners have decent arbitration case to not pay him more than we did last year, this year. So I think he'll be around and on the trade block. He even was rumored to be on the trade block at the end of the last day of the trade deadline. His name was being thrown out there, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, Teoscar's being tossed around, and now Ty France is in the mix for, like, trades. But now I'm starting to understand, like, it might be a good move because
the
I've been
value is
saying-
also probably a little higher then too. Like you can get
Yeah.
more out of a guy
Right.
when he's
On the
seemingly like doing pretty well. But at this point, you're not going to get a lot for Ty France.
They didn't get a bite, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming this offseason he'll be at his realistic value, which is like, what is he going to be in the future since he didn't take another step forward this year? It's interesting to figure out, like I was saying, who are we going to sign up for our core? Like, Ty France is one of those guys in arbitration, but I think we're going to spend money in other areas before we do Ty France because of this situation where we need offensive production from the first baseman. That's essential in a lineup.
The
Right, they're
first
going to
base,
sign up Cal and Logan, easy peasies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
the first base free agent market this offseason was also not great. I think like Mark Canha is pretty much the only first baseman
an
going to
outfielder.
free agency this season.
And
Well, he
he's-
can play first base.
Yeah,
but
right. That's
Also, who knows? Maybe if Ty France does end up winning the Gold Glove over at first base, that could be added,
That's-
just kind of trade
yeah.
bait of being like, oh, he's a Gold Glove winning first baseman.
Well, I hope he does then.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, he has a real shot, honestly. He does have a shot at winning
99% fielding.
He's made
just,
one
like,
error.
one error on the
just
season.
crushing it over there.
And he's out there every day.
It's
Like,
not
Yeah.
hard to do at first base though. Just don't drop balls.
well,
You
think
just
about
have to hit bombs if you play first base.
all the throws from Gino and JP that he picks cleanly. Like, that's pretty, I think that's pretty special. Like,
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
a good rapport, like I was saying. So I think he does deserve it if he gets it, but like, it's just hard to see him offensively produce so poorly this year. Like, he was such a good hitter. 2021 and 2022.
Back in
like,
the
he's
days
not
of
the
hit
same
artist
guy.
Ty France.
He's not my boy Ty anymore.
Now he's
I
just
wanna-
producing poop.
Yeah,
I want to
what
see
the
him do
fuck?
what JP did and lock himself in the drive line facility this offseason because
Same.
they worked wonders on JP, you know? He
Oh,
went
yes.
from being all right as a hitter, you know, but played great defense, which you need a shortstop, and then all of a sudden now he's top 3 offensive shortstop in the league.
The dude
Phenomenal.
continues to take steps forward. He might even get MVP votes. Like, the voters get 10 votes. It's not like they all have 1 vote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's possible. He's been a top 10 offensive producer in the American League for parts of the year, and he is very valuable. He's taken another step forward. Will he continue to take another step forward? I feel like he's almost at his peak, like, performance right now. But if he keeps going, I mean, it's ridiculous. But if he does what he does this year for the next 3 years, whatever 4 years we have him, then
Save it for the 2024 predictions episode, Matt.
let me just say I love JP Crawford, and I will continue to love JP Crawford.
Hell yeah.
Also, I want to be realistic about this. No shade going JP's way. He's been an amazing Mariner this season. Great player. I did have an issue with his at-bat. And, no one is absolved from criticism. JP came up, bases loaded, needed the knock. They just did a pitching change, and he swung at the very first pitch, which one is very un-JP like. He has been taking great at-bats from the whole season, and this is just from my speculation standpoint, but I have cast my criticism at the coaching staff for not getting players, especially Julio, kind of prepared for these high leverage situations. Julio is having an amazing season, but there's no way that we can just gloss over the fact that he has come through or come up with the game on the line countless times throughout the season, and he has not come through. And again, we get him some slack. He's young. It's a high-pressure moment. He's trying to do too much. He wants to be the star. He wants to be the face. I get it. I do understand. But Julio has struggled in those at-bats throughout the season. And JP, in this one specific instance, came up, game on the line, bases loaded, 2 outs, and you swing and ground out at the very first pitch. That is a coaching staff failure for not telling these hitters, take a minute, take a breath, see what he's got, especially after a pitching change. What are you doing swinging at the first pitch? I blame the coaches for this. And yes, these guys are major leaguers. They're adults. They make their own decisions. But coaches have the say. If you tell them to take a pitch, they will take a pitch. If you're just saying, do what feels right, I fail the coaching staff on that.
Yeah, I feel you. These high-pressure situations are so tough for young players. Julio has not excelled in those clutch situations when the game's on the line. He's had the opportunity to win the game for the Mariners many times. And, yeah, I mean, the rate that he actually gets it done is not amazing. On the other hand, we've seen JP Crawford work at bats, work pitchers, make them throw pitches, put the pressure back on them. And swinging at the first pitch like that is not JP-like. But the way JP's trajectory is, maybe JP thinks he's more the man. Instead of, like, because Julio hasn't come through in those situations all season where JP has walked or then put the game in Julio's hands and it hasn't paid off, maybe Julio's like, not the man, in JP's mind, like, I'm going to put the game in my hands instead of letting it get to the next batter.
It's got to be hard when you're lacking offensive production. Like, you don't, I don't want to say you don't trust the next guy, but you're like, okay, I mean, we've gone 9 innings now with, scoring 0 runs. We need to make something happen here, and you start pressing, and that's when you take bad at-bats, like swinging at the first pitch of after a pitching change with 2 outs and the bases loaded.
I will say Ty France just did that too. They changed pitchers, right? Like when the bases were loaded, and Ty France swung at a pitch down and in on his hands
and grounded
out to third.
And ended the game.
Ended the game, first pitch. And that's not like those guys. Ty France and JP Crawford are guys that see pitches and get their pitch. Usually, like that, when they're at their best, that's what those guys do best. They get their pitch to hit in the situation that they're in. JP, I don't know. I don't know what's up with JP. I think it's just the other team is taking advantage too. Like, they know our weaknesses, but if they were both cutters in on the hands, if I can remember right, like Ty Francis was down and in, maybe JP's was like a sinker down towards like inside, and like they look like good pitches, but they're tailing in towards the hands. And our players have been pressing in those clutch situations to get something done. And when you feel like the man and you feel like that's your pitch, you feel like that new pitcher coming in is going to throw you a fat one. Like, I get it. It makes sense that you want to swing at that pitch, but when it breaks in towards your hands and you get jammed, you're kind of fucked. Like, those high pressure situations are tough for everybody. We have a young team that is learning, and you can only learn in those situations. Like, you can't simulate those high pressure situations when you're late in a game and you need to win. Like, scrimmage games are one thing, but like, you can only learn from those game time situations. And I think every at bat is a valuable learning opportunity for every one of our players. And like, in the big picture situation, the window is wide open for the Mariners to take advantage of every situation they're going through right now and learn from them to bolster where they're at. I hope that our roster decisions get better so that in the future we have a better team. But right now we have 8 games left in the season and we're flat. So something's got to go. Like, I don't know what it is, but I've been waiting for another catalyst in September. It hasn't come. I'm still confident that the Mariners can get it done with the roster that they have. I have to be confident in what we have. There's no like, oh, we got to get rid of this guy at this point in the year. There's 8 games left. So I can only have confidence because of where the Mariners have put themselves, and maybe they'll make it in the playoffs with 89 wins this year. It's
maybe
a really
our catalyst
strange
is that the
race.
Astros just take a dive.
I love it. If we can ride that energy and make it something for the Mariners' momentum, let's fucking get it.
Anything, dude.
And the thing is, it comes down to this final homestand. So even if the Mariners do get swept by Texas, which please don't let that happen, but if it does, they still have a chance with the 4 games against Texas at home. I mean, we're after Sunday's game, the Mariners have just games every day, Astros, Rangers. This is what it boils down to. And if you teeter-totter against the Astros, you're still not out of it. It still comes down to this final week. It's just the Mariners are not giving us a comfortable cushion, and I guess that's some form of chaos ball. The Mariners will never
Way to see the silver lining in that one.
the Mariners will never make it easy for you. And that is one reason, despite all this, I still have hope. I've had hope since 2001. Every single year, year in and year out, even when the Mariners were starting people like Casper Wells and Russell Branyan and Michael Saunders, and just those were our guys, I still felt every year like they could do it this year. They really have the chance. I truly believe that.
Can I make a differentiation though? Like this feels different though, right?
No,
like,
I'm not saying.
I want to hammer it home to the audience
Yes.
and everybody that this is not that.
No, that is yes.
Of
that
course
is
you
not,
have you've kept your fire kindled inside and you have that hope always, but this is something different. Like, we have an actual floor that's way higher than any team we've seen in the last 15 years, and this is something special. It's something to get behind.
I'm really glad you clarified that, because yeah, I do. This team is better. This team is playoff caliber if they make the right decisions and come out firing. We've seen what this team can do when they click, when they're hot, when everything is connecting. And so, yes, this team is obviously better than, 2014 Mariners and whatever.
The hope is what matters
But
here.
No, I think you're just a big Branyan
The
guy.
fire.
But the hope is there. We have a chance. There's always a chance. This team can do it. It is not over till game 162. Come out to this final homestand. It's going to be electric. I was there during the Dodgers series. And yes, Dodgers fans travel well. There was a lot of Dodgers fans in that stadium. But what also it was playoff atmosphere. I was at the playoff game last year against Houston for all 18 innings. It was brutal, but I was there. The playoff aspect is there. Chanting throughout the game. Everyone being invested. People care more.
Every pitch matters.
Every pitch matters. It's a lot of fun. This last week of the season, I know of the last 5-6 games, I'm going to 4 of them. I'm going to be there. You guys should be there too. Our fans, come cheer on the Mariners. This matters. We're not out of the running. Every pitch, we still have a chance. We still have a chance for the division. The hope is there. The fire is there. We need the fire in all of you guys. Come support the boys. Come cheer them on.
Have confidence in our boys. We got this.
Good vibes only.
Do we get to hang a cool banner when we win the division?
Yes, you do.
Absolutely.
You get to hang an awesome one.
We got a
Good, because
few
our
up there.
banner situation is a sad sack case out there.
We get a real one for the division, not just a little on the side. AL wild card banner. 2002,
Hey,
2023.
Up there above
Yeah, we were
the,
close. Isn't that cute?
Up there above the right field bleachers is where the
our
real
banners
shit
are
hangs.
sad,
Yeah.
sad.
So let's hang up another banner, boys. Let's do it. Let's go Mariners.
Dude, I'm confident that these boys are going to turn it on, dude. Go Mariners. We got the fire. We got this.
I'm fired up, man. The fire's going to be there this week. Friday through Sunday are all sellouts. I already saw. I imagine the Houston series, even though it's a Monday through Wednesday, that's going to be packed.
I'm going Wednesday.
I'm going Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's going to be insane.
And yes, cheer the boys on. It's going to be so exciting. You've never seen an electric atmosphere like playoff baseball. It is so much fun. Everyone's involved. Everyone's cheering.
Keep Seattle a baseball town. Let's go.
Yes. And we hope to see y'all there. Come say what's up. Say hi to the Sogcast. We'll buy you a beer.
Send us a message while you're at the game. We'll do our best.
And make sure to tell your friends about the Sogcast. Listen up. The more the merrier. And yes, we've been critical this episode. We've been realistic, but we're not giving up. This team has a legitimate chance to win, and we all want you to be a part of it.
These are our boys. Get behind them.
Hell yeah.
And we like getting together and talking baseball. I don't want our season to end.
Yeah, no, then we have to do something else on Saturday night.
Yeah, what else are we going to do on Saturday? I'm not watching college football.
No, me neither. Let's go.
Hey, shout out Wazoo and UW are both undefeated on the season. And Seattle Thunderbirds season kicked off tonight, and they won 3-2.
Let's go T-Birds.
T-Birds.
Hey, big T-Birds fans over here as well. Go Seattle sports. Go our fans. Thank you all for listening. We cheering you guys on as well. We love having you all. Thank you all for the engagements, the messages, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much for joining us on this journey. And hopefully we'll be back with next week with nothing but good news. Thank you all for listening, and go Mariners!
Dude, Immaculate Grid gets my brain working. I remember so many baseball cards and baseball games, the rosters.
I just start drooling and lick the closest window in sight. Like Drunk Rocket League, though, is like two of my favorite things. Drinking and driving a car.
Dude, when Jason lived with me and got like Gran Turismo 5 with
Oh
this
my
fucking
god, with
steering
the
wheel
fucking
and the
steering
pedals?
and the pedals, and
Dude.
oh my.
He's like, all right, you want a drunk drive? Yeah, let's go.
My
Come on,
friend had
set it
that
up.
set up for Forza, and we always used to like.
It's
He,
so
he
fun.
fucking built like a racing seat too,
Yeah.
and we would always get
bucket
super
seat.
drunk and just drunk drive on Forza.
Yeah,
You want a
dude.
drunk drive? Yeah, let's
Hell
fucking
yeah,
do
dude.
it.